The man, Dr. Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia. For especially friends and schoolmates who grew up with him, nothing about the rise of Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia surprises them.
I met him for the first time in 1975. I was in Form 3 and he was in Form 1.
Ne papa, ne be papa, no me nam for. And I'm saying, you know, a man, a be a baako. Elti, ne ye no omunyina netibom. Ye nyina ko primary school Tamale, Sakasaka primary. Me papa kura na so junior peninsa, and then call primary 1 ko register.
Since he excelled so well in school, I'm not surprised where he has reached now. But I didn't think that, you don't think that your friend is going to be the president of a country. You know, so, I mean, I'm just so in awe of the whole thing. It's like a dream that a very close friend of yours will be the president of Ghana one day. That, how do you imagine something like that?
You school ni nyina no abin. O sani nyina wo hwe enema wo ye no utimi ho se no. Papa yi bi dan so. School mo no excel bibia wo ye bia. Ye ne work together no so no. Na oni nyina ye o se kade no na kwese we free ono onim sade no. Say we Islam, we are Kani, we no, and now we Muslim, we Christian. Daddy.
He's a brilliant man. Nobody can take that away from him. He's very intelligent. He's well read. He solves problems. He has a temperament that can accommodate, which I think will be good for leadership. He listens. He's open-minded. He's welcoming of people of all colors, all creeds. You know, he's for everybody.
Dr. Bawumia's journey to the top could only be described as divine. His friends saw that from his childhood, and President Kufuor also had that revelation.
When I cast my eyes back, on hindsight, this guy, banker, research, special assistant or whatever of the governor, works so hard, even I move him to be deputy governor. And then we are looking for a political running mate. Our candidate brings him up. Again, he gets it. He's a child of destiny.
I have closely studied Mahmoud since 2018. And I can tell you he's the type of person Ghana needs in leadership. I call him a man of destiny. He doesn't know, but I call him a man of destiny. Why? Because there are many people who go out and do all kinds of things and seek, for greatness. But watching Mahmoud, greatness seeks him out.
I say that he's a gift from God to his family, to his religion, to Ghana, Africa, and the whole world. We thank God for his life.
He doesn't forget his past. For those who know him, just as he was from the beginning at his childhood, so is he, even as the second most powerful man in Ghana.
He's quiet. I mean, I think he's an introvert, but he has a group of friends that he grew up with, who are his buddies, and that's when I see him light up. Actually, when he's around them or when he's doing his economics, what he loves. Yes, but so his friends, who I will call his true friends, are those really he grew up with.
He never forgets his friends. He never forgets. He was a very good friend of my late brother, Dr. Kutose. From the times they were joint chairman of that committee. And my brother was ill for a long time. Dr. Bawumia was one of the few friends who paid him regular visits to encourage him and to push him on until his death. He's a good man. He's a good man. He's a good man, and I'm glad to be able to say that I can count him among my friends.
The fact that I've known him for more than 40 years, from the time he was 12 years old up to now, shows you that he doesn't forget friends. When he moved, even when he was living in Canada, we were always kept in touch. Anytime he came to London, he would call me and we would meet up. And when I used to come and visit him at the Bank of Ghana, when he was working here, I'd stay with him at his flat in Ardenta. He was staying in the SNIT flats then. So, and he used to come and meet me at the airport anytime I landed. I mean, he's a very down-to-earth, very, very down-to-earth, honest person.
Me kosra mrebi. Me koya me sane me kransa me ba. O si free ni office. Be jam me adu. Enti nipa madam for me no ko hen ho. Eh. Na papa pen na wono wa be sane na o kwa. Wa sa sorry free na ko na am see that's how he is. Oh, obia or ye humble and respectful near the tea.
He still mingles with friends. He keeps in touch with us all the time. His friends in Canada, he keeps in touch with me all the time. Even when he's busy and I send him a message, it's shocking that I get a message straight back. And he makes me so excited that, you know, the vice president has sent me a message. Even though he's my friend, I revere him so much that I really appreciate his friendship. I remember when we came for the inauguration, when he won the first, when they won the first election, he was actually sitting on the dais, and I sent him a message during the inauguration, and he replied, and I showed it to my friend. Look, the vice president has replied to me. Honestly, he's a really down-to-earth person.
Well, yeah, because he's always working on his phone. He's the opposite of me. But yes, everybody he reaches out. People look for him. People would say, I got a text from the vice president at 3 a.m. and you know, like, don't text the person at this hour. He says, well, there's work today, I need to let them know. Or a text has come in and he's responding as soon as he has time to. But yes, he keeps in touch with people. He's very responsive.
Position where do you call here now? No, and now we no, that kind of thing. The way is near the as and Colano, sa me can say baby obey vice president for from. Me kokotia mini e call. Ena enkobodi dia you feel near from Mamudu. Straight. Now minuano oh sorry, vice. Not so, but you know me as Mamudu. So why, you know? So you see that humility in him. Obianko be mama so you know be a madri momo memi no just
the way you name so me hwe no ehun de ositie na bra se ne edwa wo ene se do sika sa kire mpanimfo ye no mo hefo ne ayma fo kwade obo ni ma oboni mu ase apani do ye nipa.
Dr. Alhaji Muhammadu Bawumia has been exceptional everywhere he's been. He leaves a mark and raises the flag of Ghana high everywhere he goes.
And I would also go further to tell you, when we lost the election 2008, Bawumia moved to join the African Development Bank. The bank posted him to Zimbabwe as its country representative there. He worked so well. So 2012, when our candidate, Akufo-Addo, again renominated him to be his running mate, the then head of the African Development Bank, called Mr. Kaberuka, I believe he's from Rwanda or Tanzania, very impressive, charismatic person, came telling me to talk with me. Oh, Mr. President, dissuade the young man from coming back to talk. He's doing so well in that country. Let him stay there. He's got a future in the bank. I considered this appeal from the government. I told Mr. Kaberuka, I shouldn't be for me to dissuade this youngster from accepting to become running mate.
When I left the presidency, I started giving a series of lectures around the world, and I went to Oxford to give lectures at Oxford. I didn't know that Dr. Bawumia was then in Oxford. So after I gave him my lectures, the last one, I was invited by whatever they're called, ward master or whatever. The whole lunch from all the Oxford lectures was about a brilliant economist who's doing research at Oxford. And they were referring to Dr. Bawumia. Yes, you can understand why I have tremendous respect for him.
When I went to Oxford, his professor at Oxford, at the Blavatnik school, used to tell me things about what, Dr. Bawumia used to do. And they, like how, he was studious, how he stood out, and he really understood the, the area that he was engaged in. And, it was just lovely to hear that from about another Ghanaian, at a prestigious university like Oxford, from a professor, and anytime I came back, I'll come and tell Dr. Bawumia, oh, listen, I met this professor of yours, and he said very lovely things about you.
We went to the same university for our PhD. So he left Simon Fraser University in Burnaby, Canada. He left 2 years before I went to the department. And when I went there, I was the only Ghanaian. And anytime I told anybody that I was from Ghana, the first question would be, do you know Mahmoud? And I was like, who is he? No, I didn't know him. But I was surprised everybody was asking about him. And I thought that he was the only person there, like I was the only person. Only to find out later that there were about 14 Ghanaians in the department at that time when he was there. And I was like, then why is everybody only asking about him? What about the other 13? It was later on that I found out that he was like the unifying figure among them. He was like their leader, trying to make sure that everybody is well taken care of, everybody's, is doing well. The welfare of those people there were like his priority. And I that's when I understood it. But later on, I realized that it was not just that he was brilliant. Now, his brilliance made him, shine in the midst of his peers. And that's why I said, I felt proud.
Dr. Bawumia is a good man, not only because he has a good intellect and he can think on his feet and think into the future. He's a good man because he loves people and he wants to sacrifice his life to serve them. He's someone you will describe as someone who wants to practice servant leadership. He's a good man also because he's not greedy. He's not greedy, he is quite contented with what he has. And that is always a good sign that the person will be more interested in what others get than what comes to him.
Dr. Bawumia has always been hardworking and will not substitute work for pleasure.
He was known among the family circles. If you read even the background, you see clearly he was getting scholarships, distinction, and so forth. So he was a brilliant student. And you can even see, I'm so happy. He's not really taken aback with what is going on. And he's not affected in any way.
He's absolutely hardworking. I actually tease him that he lives to work because he literally works every day of the week. In the 20 plus years I've known him, there's not one day, let's even say like a weekend or a Sunday, that he will lie in and, he's working or he's doing something related to work. People are coming to see him. So he just works around the clock. It's incredible how he does it.
His brilliance never made him swollen-headed and willingly did all kinds of jobs that could pay his bills.
And while we were all struggling in London, I was driving a minicab, like a taxi, and with my close friend Adrian and Mahmoud, all of us were doing taxi driving while we were studying. You know, he's a hard-working person. And as he said, he cleaned dormitories when he was in Canada. I even washed plates.
Dr. Bawumia is indeed a man of destiny, because at every moment, God orders his steps.
Well, look at where we are today. I would say it's the most unlikely of circumstances. But when I met him, he was on another tangent, and it seems to me that his steps are ordered.
Hiding in his place at the Bank of Ghana, somebody puts in a word somewhere and he's lifted and becomes the vice president. Many people will tell you that it is he who won the election for the NPP.
We went to a Financial Times investment meeting. You know how the Financial Times journalists are. They were asking all kinds of difficult questions. And many members of the economic management team were present. And you could see that they were struggling. So at one point, Dr. Bawumia was, I didn't know him then. He was standing at the back and he kept raising his hand. So the president asked me, who's that? I said, I don't know. He said, give him the floor. When he had finished, the argument was over.
This youngster read the paper to the conference, plenary, full conference. The paper was so good. And as I said, I hadn't talked with him before. I didn't really know him. When he finished the paper, he received ovation, I would say. The applause was big. So he was going to sit. But it was so good, and I was so proud that he was a Ghanaian youngster. So I instructed that he should be called for me. He came, and in his own naturally humble way was bowing to. I said, hey, this paper you have read, so good. Keep on at it, and you'll go far.
Dr. Bawumia was a research assistant to the then governor of the Bank of Ghana. In less than 2 years, the work he did at the Financial Times meeting in London got him marked for something huge.
A year or two later, there was vacancy for deputy governorship. But the first choice was really not Bawumia. The governor came to see me, and I brought up a name that was not even part of the bank's staff. That person was, I think, that time, the deputy chief executive from Barclays. Very top, not professional banker. So I said, that for that position, give it to this guy from Barclays. Governor agreed. Before we could communicate to that person, and I'm telling you, that person hadn't lobbied me for anything. He didn't even know that he'd come to notice. Just within 2 days of my deciding the position should be given to that man, there was an announcement that the person had been appointed the CEO of another bank, top bank, international bank. So the governor rushed back to me and said, oh, the person you mentioned, he's now the CEO. So we thought about it a bit. How strange. Well, let him go. Then some names came up from within the bank. All professionals. Some even more senior than Bawumia then.
The president made a mistake of asking me, do you remember that young man who we noticed? Of course I remember that young man. The rest, as they say, is part of history.
Apparently President Kufuor ran it by Dr. Polakwa to see how he felt about giving him the deputy governorship, and he said, well, the guy does the work anyway, so I would be honored for him to be given that position.
You remember that youngster who read the paper in the Landmark Hotel? Oh yes, Bawumia. Say yes, give it to him, just like it. Just like it. It wasn't as if Bawumia had come to see me about some position or promotion. Never, nothing like that at all. Just give it to him. But I had come to believe the boy could do the job.
He had called to say there was something he needed to tell me when he gets home, and he got home to say, well, he's been offered to be deputy governor. And I was like, wait, what did your boss say about it? Because then now you're almost as close to your boss when you are his special assistant.
Could this be described as a coincidence, or that special grace called favor, which is a gift from God? This special assistant had overrun everyone to become the second most powerful man at the Bank of Ghana. Alhaji Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia is a true man of destiny.